The warning lights turned red across the entire Nexus station control room. Captain Yeon jumped from his chair as the loudest alarm he had ever heard filled the air. His coffee spilled across the control panel as dozens of screens started flashing. "Urgent messages! What is happening?" Yeon shouted over the noise. His four arms moved quickly across different controls, trying to understand why every system was screaming at once. Senior Analyst Tae ran to the main scanner display. Her crystal-like skin was changing colors rapidly, which only happened when she was very afraid. "Captain, we have two unknown contacts approaching from Sector 7. The energy readings are impossible." "Show me," Yeon ordered. The main screen filled with data that made his blood run cold. Two small ships were moving toward Nexus Station, but the numbers made no sense. "These readings cannot be correct," said Dr. Minho as he studied the biological scans. His tentacles were wrapped tightly around his body, a clear sign of stress. "The life forms inside those ships are showing energy levels that should kill most creatures." Tae's fingers danced across her console. More data appeared on the screen. "Captain, look at these stress markers. Both creatures are showing extreme biological activity, heart rates that would burst most organs, hormone levels that suggest constant combat readiness." The ship's computer spoke in its calm voice, which seemed strange against all the chaos. "Warning. Detecting apex predator class organisms. Threat level maximum. Recommend immediate evacuation protocols." Yeon had been captain of Nexus Station for 20 years. He had seen dangerous creatures before: pirates, war beasts, even the terrible void hunters that could eat metal. But he had never seen readings like this. "How far away are they?" he asked. 2 hours until they reached docking distance," Tae replied. Her colors were now a deep purple that meant pure terror. Dr. Minho was studying more data on his personal scanner. "Captain, these creatures appear to be working together. The computer thinks they are pack hunters. The coordination between them is perfect. They move like they share one mind." "Pack hunters," Yeon repeated slowly. "Every species in the galaxy knew to fear pack hunters. Single predators were dangerous enough, but creatures that could work together to hunt were the stuff of nightmares." The communication system crackled to life. A voice filled with static came through the speakers. The universal translator worked hard to make sense of the alien words. "This is need to dock. Running low on. Please respond." Everyone in the control room went silent. The message was broken, but they could hear something in the voice, something that made their skin crawl. "Did you hear that tone?" whispered Tae. That was the sound of a predator calling to its prey. Dr. Minho nodded quickly. "The vocal pattern suggests these creatures are used to being obeyed." That was not a request. That was a demand. More static came through the speakers. "Looking for supplies and a place to—" The message cut off, leaving only silence. "They are looking for supplies," Yeon said. "They want to hunt here. They see our station as a feeding ground," the computer spoke again. "Biological analysis complete. Both organisms show signs of extreme adaptability. Estimated survival capability in hostile environments approaches 100%. Warning. These creatures can likely survive in space without protection." Tae looked at her captain with wide eyes. "Creatures that can survive in space. Pack hunters with impossible energy levels. Captain, what are these things?" Before Yeon could answer, the proximity alarms started ringing. New ships were appearing on the scanner. Trade vessels and passenger ships that had been heading to Nexus Station were suddenly changing course and speeding away. "The automated warning systems are broadcasting to all nearby ships," Dr. Minho explained. "Everyone in the sector now knows about the approaching predators. They are running." Yeon watched as ship after ship disappeared from his scanner. Nexus Station was becoming empty as word spread about the approaching danger. In 30 minutes, they went from a busy trade hub to a nearly deserted outpost. How many ships have left? He asked. 47 so far, Tay answered. The Vorthak merchant fleet just jumped to hyperspace. Even the Quellan hive ships are leaving, and they never run from anything. The captain understood why everyone was leaving. The Quellan were known across the galaxy as fearless warriors. If they were running, these approaching creatures must be truly terrible. Another broken message came through the speakers. Really? Hope someone is there and been traveling for days. Just want to... Days of travel, Dr. Minho said with horror. These predators have been hunting through space for days. They must be incredibly hungry by now. The ship's computer updated its analysis. Warning: predator organisms showing signs of resource depletion. Hunger levels at critical stage. Recommend immediate evacuation. Jan looked around his control room. His crew was terrified, but they were still at their posts. These were good people who trusted him to keep them safe. He could not let them down. Send a message to all remaining station inhabitants, he ordered. Emergency protocols are now in effect. All civilians should move to the central safe areas. All security teams report to battle stations. Captain, Tay said quietly, what if we cannot stop them? What if these creatures are too strong for our defenses? Yeon looked at the scanner one more time. The two unknown ships were getting closer. Whatever was inside them had scared away some of the bravest species in the galaxy. His station had good shields and weapons, but would they be enough against creatures that could survive in space and hunt in perfect coordination? We will do what we must, he said. This station protects thousands of innocent lives. We cannot let it fall to predators. The control room fell silent except for the constant beeping of alarms. Everyone watched the scanner as two small dots moved closer to their home. In less than 2 hours, they would discover what kind of monsters the galaxy had sent to their door. Outside the control room, word was spreading through Nexus Station. Alien families gathered their belongings and moved to the safest parts of the station. Merchants closed their shops and hid their most valuable goods. Security teams checked their weapons and hoped they would be enough. Nobody knew that the approaching apex predators were just two tired humans who had been traveling through space in a small ship, looking for a place to rest and get some decent food. Ambassador Hyun had handled first contact with over 50 different alien species during her long career. She had met creatures with 12 eyes, beings made of living gas, and warriors with teeth like knives. But she had never felt fear like this before. She stood in the diplomatic meeting room with her hands shaking slightly. Around the large circular table sat representatives from every major species on Nexus Station. The mood was dark and heavy with worry. The unknown vessels will dock in 40 minutes, Captain Yeon announced as he entered the room. All civilian areas are now sealed. Military teams are in position. The Vorthak trade leader Chin spoke first. His crystal body was flashing nervous yellow lights. Ambassador, my people have dealt with dangerous predators before, but these readings are unlike anything in our databases. Are you certain we should attempt communication? Dr. Minho nodded his agreement. His tentacles were wrapped so tightly around his chair that the metal was bending. The biological scans show creatures with energy levels that suggest they never rest. They may not understand concepts like peace or negotiation. Ambassador Hyun looked at the datapad in her hands. The readings were truly frightening, but her job was to find peaceful solutions. We must try to communicate. If these are intelligent beings, maybe we can avoid violence. Intelligence might make them more dangerous, said Security Chief Yoon. Her forearms were already moving to check her weapons. Smart predators are the deadliest kind. The communication system crackled to life again. Everyone in the room went completely silent as the broken voice filled the air. Hello? Can anyone hear us? We really need... Running out of... The universal translator struggled with the strange language. The words came out in pieces, making the message sound even more threatening. Dr. Su, the station's head psychologist, was taking notes quickly. Listen to the vocal patterns, she whispered. There is desperation in that voice. These creatures are reaching some kind of critical state. Critical state for a predator means they are about to attack, Yoon said grimly. Desperate hunters are the most dangerous. Another message came through the speakers, clearer this time. Please respond. Been eating nothing but days without proper... Just want to... Ambassador Hyun felt her hearts skip a beat. They are talking about eating, and they have been without proper hunting for days. The room erupted in worried voices. Representatives from different species all spoke at once, their words mixing together in a chaos of fear. They are planning to hunt here. Days without proper feeding. They must be starving. We should evacuate immediately. Hyun raised her hand for silence. As frightening as the situation was, panic would not help anyone. We need to think clearly. What exactly are they asking for? Dr. Minho consulted his analysis device. The computer believes they are performing reconnaissance, learning about our defenses before they attack. The broken messages could be intentional, designed to make us lower our guard. Or, suggested Dr. Su carefully, they could be genuinely trying to communicate their needs. Security Chief Yoon shook her head firmly. No predator species in our database has ever asked permission before hunting. These messages are either threats or tricks. The communication system activated again. This time the voice was different, softer, more tired. Is anyone there? Really tired? Need somewhere to... Please. Everyone stared at the speakers in shock. There were two different voices, two different predators. Pack coordination, Dr. Minho said with horror. One handles the food hunting, the other scouts for resting areas. They have divided their duties perfectly. Ambassador Hyun tried to process this information. Everything they were learning made these creatures seem more dangerous. But something about the voices bothered her. There was something in the tone that did not match the idea of terrible predators. Computer, analyze the emotional content of those transmissions, she ordered. The station computer processed the request for several seconds. Analysis complete. Both voices show high levels of fatigue and stress. No indicators of aggressive intent, no signs of deception or territorial behavior. Dr. Su looked up from her notes. That does not match typical predator communication patterns. Hunters usually sound confident and aggressive when approaching new territory. Maybe that is how their species shows confidence, suggested Chin, by acting tired and helpless to fool their prey. Security Chief Eun was watching the docking bay cameras on her personal screen. The ships are requesting permission to dock at Bay 7. Standard civilian docking procedures. Civilian procedures, Hyun repeated. Would apex predators follow civilian docking rules? If they were smart enough, Dr. Minho answered. Following our rules could be part of their hunting strategy. The communication system crackled once more. Both voices could be heard this time, talking to each other rather than to the station. Do you think they heard us? I hope so. I am so hungry I could eat anything right now. Me too. And I really need to sleep somewhere comfortable. The universal translator picked up these words clearly. Everyone in the diplomatic room heard the casual conversation between the two creatures. Dr. Su was writing notes frantically. They are discussing their hunting plans openly. The first one wants to eat anything available. The second is looking for a comfortable place to rest while digesting their prey. They are not even trying to hide their intentions, Yoon said with disbelief. These predators are so confident they do not care if we hear their plans. Ambassador. Hyun stood up slowly. The decision was hers to make, and thousands of lives depended on getting it right. We will allow them to dock, but we will be ready for anything. Ambassador, Captain Yeon said carefully, are you certain? Once they are on our station, they will be much harder to stop. If we refuse them, they might attack the station directly. Their ships could ram us or use weapons we have never seen before. At least if they dock, we can control the situation better. Security Chief Yoon activated her communicator. All teams prepare for docking Bay 7. Full combat readiness. Do not engage unless they attack first, but be ready for anything. Dr. Minho checked his scanners one more time. Biological readings are still showing extreme stress levels. Whatever these creatures are planning, they are very excited about it. The docking clamps engaged with a loud metal sound that echoed through the station. Everyone held their breath as the two mysterious ships locked onto Nexus Station. "They are aboard our station now," Captain Yan announced. "May the spirits help us all." Ambassador Hyun looked around the room at all the frightened faces. "Remember, we are diplomats and peacekeepers. We will try to understand these creatures before we judge them." But in her heart, she was just as terrified as everyone else. In a few minutes, they would meet the most dangerous predators their scanners had ever detected. She could only hope that her years of diplomatic experience would be enough to keep everyone alive. Outside the diplomatic room, the entire station waited in fearful silence as two tired humans prepared to step off their small ship and look for food and a place to sleep. The airlock hissed as it slowly opened. Every camera on Nexus Station was focused on Docking Bay 7. In the security center, dozens of aliens watched their screens with absolute terror. Ambassador Hyun stood behind Security Chief Yoon, her hands gripping the back of a chair so tightly her knuckles were white. "Movement detected," Yoon whispered into her communicator. "All units stay ready." The first figure stepped through the airlock door. Jiho looked around the empty docking bay with confusion. His dark hair was messy from sleeping in the cramped ship for 3 days. His clothes were wrinkled and he had dark circles under his eyes from exhaustion. "Where is everyone?" he asked. His companion, but his voice echoed in the empty space. In the security center, Dr. Minho was studying his scanners frantically. "Look at those readings. His heart rate is extremely elevated. Stress hormones are off the charts. This creature is in full hunting mode." What the aliens did not know was that Jiho was a 22-year-old college student. He had been living on protein bars and energy drinks for the past week while studying for final exams. The stress hormones Dr. Minho detected were from hunger and the terrible taste of artificial food. The second figure emerged from the airlock. Dami moved slowly, like she was walking through water. Her eyes were half closed and she kept yawning. She looked around the docking bay without much interest. "This place seems nice," she mumbled sleepily. "Very quiet." Dr. Su was taking notes rapidly. "The second predator is displaying classic stalking behavior. Notice how slowly she moves. She is conserving energy for the kill. And that comment about it being quiet, she is pleased that there are no other predators to compete with." In reality, Dami was a 28-year-old office worker who had just finished the worst month of her career. She had worked 16-hour days for 3 weeks straight to finish a major project. Her slow movements and quiet voice were simply because she was completely exhausted. Jiho walked further into the docking bay, looking at the signs on the walls. His stomach made a loud growling sound that echoed through the metal space. "Did you hear that?" Captain Yeon whispered. "That was not a normal vocalization. That was some kind of hunting call. The acoustics suggest it came from inside his body," Dr. Minho added with horror. "These creatures have internal sound-making organs, probably used for coordinating pack attacks." Jiho read one of the signs and his face lit up with hope. "Food. Court level 5, he said out loud. "Dami, did you hear that? There is a food court here." Dami nodded slowly without opening her eyes fully. "That sounds good. I will find somewhere to sit down while you get food." In the security center, the aliens were in complete panic. "They are dividing their hunting territories already," Yoon said with disbelief. "One will take the food areas, the other will secure resting positions. This level of tactical thinking is terrifying." Ambassador Hyun watched as Jiho started walking toward the exit from the docking bay. His movements were quick and focused, like someone with a clear goal in mind. Behind him, Dami followed at a much slower pace, stopping occasionally to look at the walls and ceiling. "The first one is definitely the primary hunter," Dr. Sue observed. "Look how he moves with purpose toward the food areas. The second one is the lookout, checking escape routes and defensive positions." What they were actually seeing was a hungry college student who had spotted the cafeteria signs, followed by his exhausted friend who was too tired to walk fast and kept looking around because she had never been on a space station before. The exit door from the docking bay slid open automatically. Ji-ho stepped through first and found himself in one of the main corridors of Nexus Station. The hallway was completely empty, which struck him as strange for such a large facility. "Hello?" he called out. "Is anyone here? We just need some directions." His voice carried down the empty corridor. In hidden security posts, alien guards heard the call and felt their blood turn cold. "He is calling for prey," one guard whispered into his radio. "The hunt is beginning." Dami emerged from the docking bay and looked down the long, empty hallway. "This place is really quiet. Maybe it is a rest day or something." She found a bench along the wall and sat down heavily. Within seconds, she was leaning back with her eyes closed, looking completely relaxed. Dr. Minho was studying his readings with growing alarm. "The second predator has entered some kind of resting state while remaining fully alert. This is advanced predatory behavior. She can rest while still being ready to attack instantly." Security Chief Yoon was coordinating her teams through hand, signals, and silent communications. "Track the primary hunter. Do not let him reach the civilian areas." But Ji-ho was already following the signs toward the food court. His steps were getting faster as his hunger grew stronger. He had not eaten a real meal in days, and the thought of actual food made him almost dizzy with anticipation. "The biological readings are spiking," Dr. Minho reported. "Whatever is driving these creatures, it is getting stronger." Ambassador Hyun made a decision that surprised everyone. "I am going to try direct contact." "Ambassador, no." Captain Yeon protested. "It is too dangerous. If these are intelligent beings, I need to try diplomatic contact before anyone gets hurt." She activated the station's public address system. Her voice echoed through the corridors where Ji-ho was walking. "Unknown visitors, this is Ambassador Hyun of Nexus Station. We welcome you and wish to establish peaceful communication." Ji-ho stopped walking and looked up at the speakers in the ceiling. His face showed genuine relief and happiness. "Oh, thank goodness. Hello. My name is Ji-ho. We are travelers looking for supplies and a place to rest. We have been in space for several days and we are really tired and hungry." In the security center, Dr. Sue was writing notes frantically. He identified himself immediately and stated his needs clearly. This suggests high intelligence and confidence. He is not afraid of us at all. "That makes him more dangerous, not less," Yoon replied grimly. "Only an apex predator would be so bold." Ambassador Hyun continued the conversation. "What kind of supplies do you need, Ji-ho?" "Just food, really. And my friend Dami needs somewhere comfortable to sleep. We have been traveling in a very small ship and have not been able to rest properly." Dr. Minho looked at his readings again. He mentioned sleep again. This must be how their species processes their prey. They need rest to digest large meals. What nobody understood was that Ji-ho and Dami were just two ordinary humans on a vacation trip through space. They had saved money for months to afford passage on a small transport ship, but the journey was taking longer than expected, and their supplies were running low. All they wanted was a decent meal and a comfortable bed. But to the aliens watching them, they appeared to be the most dangerous predators in the galaxy, calmly announcing their hunting plans to anyone who would listen. The misunderstanding was about to get much worse. Ji-ho followed the signs through the winding corridors of Nexus Station. His stomach was growling louder now, and he could smell something that might be food coming from somewhere ahead. After 3 days of eating nothing but protein bars that tasted like cardboard, any real food seemed like a miracle. He turned a corner and found himself in the main food court. Rows of colorful stalls lined both sides of a wide area with tables and chairs scattered throughout. But something was wrong. Everything was completely empty. Food was still sitting on counters, drinks were still bubbling in machines, but there was not a single person anywhere. "Hello?" Jiho called out. "Is anyone here? Are you open?" His voice echoed off the walls. In the security center, Dr. Minho was watching the cameras with growing fear. "He has reached the primary feeding area," he reported to Ambassador Hyun. "Look how he surveys the territory. He is choosing which area to attack first." What Jiho was actually doing was trying to figure out if the food court was closed. He walked slowly between the stalls, looking at the different types of food. There were things that looked like sandwiches, others that might be soup, and strange, colorful items he could not identify. At one stall, he noticed a piece of fruit that had fallen on the floor. It was purple and shaped like a pear, but it smelled sweet and fresh. He picked it up and examined it carefully. "The predator is testing potential prey items," Dr. Su observed from her monitoring station. "Notice how he uses all his senses to evaluate the target." Jiho was actually just trying to figure out if the fruit was ripe. He sniffed it like he would any piece of fruit back home. It smelled good, but he was not sure if it was safe for humans to eat. He set it down gently on the counter. Meanwhile, Dami had found a quiet area near some comfortable-looking chairs. She sat down in one that seemed designed for beings with a similar body shape to hers. The chair was incredibly soft, much better than anything on their small ship. "This is perfect," she said to herself as she settled in. She closed her eyes and let out a long, satisfied sigh. In the monitoring room, alien security guards were watching her with terror. "The second predator has established a secure resting position," one reported. "She appears to be entering a dormant state while maintaining territorial control." What they were seeing was simply an exhausted office worker finally finding a comfortable chair after sleeping on a tiny ship's bunk for days. Dami was so tired she could have fallen asleep anywhere, but the soft chair felt like luxury. Back in the food court, Jiho was getting more confused. There was clearly food everywhere, but no one to ask how to buy it. He looked around for some kind of payment system or ordering counter. "Excuse me," he called out loudly. "How do I order food here? Is there someone I can talk to?" His frustrated voice carried through the empty food court. To the listening aliens, it sounded like a predator demanding submission from hidden prey. Dr. Su was taking detailed notes. The vocal patterns show increasing aggression. He is becoming impatient with the lack of response to his dominance calls. Ambassador Hyun watched the screens carefully. Something about the situation was bothering her, but she could not identify what it was. "Computer, analyze the behavioral patterns we have observed so far." The station computer processed thousands of data points. Analysis shows behavior consistent with apex predatory species. However, several anomalies are present. No territorial marking, no aggressive displays toward cameras, no attempts to hide or camouflage activities. "What does that mean?" Captain Yeon asked. "It could mean they are so confident in their abilities that they see no need for typical predator behaviors," Dr. Minho suggested. Or what?" Hyun pressed. "Or we are misinterpreting their actions entirely." Before anyone could respond, Jiho made a discovery that changed everything. He found a vending machine tucked between two food stalls. It was clearly automated and had pictures of different snacks behind a glass front. His face lit up with pure joy. Finally, something that makes sense. He studied the machine carefully, trying to figure out how it worked. There were symbols that might be prices, and a slot that looked like it might accept payment cards. In the security center, the aliens watched in horror as Jiho examined the vending machine. "He is studying our automated food distribution system," Yoon said with disbelief. "He is learning how our technology works so he can exploit it." Jiho pulled out a universal credit card from his wallet. It was the kind used by travelers throughout this sector of space. He had loaded it with his vacation savings before the trip. He inserted the card into the machine and pressed a button next to a package of what looked like crackers. The machine hummed for a moment, then dispensed the package, with a cheerful beep. "Success!" Jiho said happily. He opened the package immediately and ate one of the crackers. His face showed obvious relief and pleasure. Dr. Minho was staring at his readings in confusion. The biological stress markers just dropped significantly. The consumption of food has changed his entire physiological state. He has begun feeding, Dr. Su added grimly. This is the beginning of the hunting cycle. But what they were actually seeing was a hungry college student finally getting some decent food after days of terrible rations. The crackers were salty and crunchy and tasted better than anything Jiho had eaten in a week. He bought 3 more packages from the machine, eating them quickly while standing right there. For the first time since leaving home, he felt like a normal person instead of a starving traveler. "Oh, this is so much better," he said out loud, not knowing that hidden microphones were picking up every word. The aliens listening interpreted his satisfied tone as the sounds of a successful predator, claiming his kill. Meanwhile, Dami had fallen asleep in her chair. Her breathing was slow and regular, and she had a peaceful expression on her face. She looked completely relaxed for the first time in months. "The second predator is now fully dormant," a security guard reported. "She shows no signs of alertness. This level of confidence in hostile territory is unprecedented." Dr. Minho was studying the biological readings from both humans. "Captain, I am seeing something very unusual. Both creatures are showing signs of recovery and normalization. This does not match any predator behavior in our databases." "What are you saying?" Ambassador Hyun asked. "I am saying that maybe these are not predators at all." The suggestion sent shock waves through the command center. Everyone turned to stare at Dr. Minho. "That is impossible," Captain Yeon protested. "The energy readings, the stress markers, everything points to apex predator classification." "But look at their actual behavior," Dr. Minho continued. "They have been polite in all communications. They used standard docking procedures. They are using normal payment methods. They have not shown any aggression toward our property or technology." Security Chief Yoon shook her head firmly. "They could be incredibly sophisticated hunters, playing with their prey before attacking." Dr. Su looked up from her notes. "There is another possibility. What if the readings we are getting are normal for their species? What if what we interpret as extreme predator markers are just how these beings naturally function?" Ambassador Hyun felt something click in her mind. "Computer, compare their biological readings to other species during normal daily activities." Processing. Comparison complete. The stress markers and energy levels shown by these creatures are similar to readings from Quellan workers during normal labor, Vorthek traders during busy market days, and Nimari students during examination periods. "You mean they are not stressed from hunting?" Hyun said slowly. "They are stressed from normal life activities." "Like hunger and exhaustion," Dr. Minho added with growing excitement. In the food court, Jiho had finished his snacks and was looking around for more substantial food. He approached one of the abandoned stalls and called out again. "Hello? Is anyone working here? I can pay for food." His voice was patient and friendly, nothing like the demanding tone of a predator. For the first time since the humans arrived, Ambassador Hyun began to think that maybe, just maybe, they had made a terrible mistake. Young maintenance worker Kai was crawling through the ventilation system above the food court when he heard the human calling out again. Unlike the adults watching from the security center, Kai was not thinking about predators or hunting patterns. He was just curious about the strange visitors. Kai was only 19 years old and had been working on Nexus Station for 6 months. His job was to keep the air systems clean and working properly, which meant he spent a lot of time in the small tunnels above the public areas. From his hiding spot, he could see everything that was happening. He watched as Jiho walked around the empty food court, looking confused and a little sad. The human kept calling out politely, asking if anyone was there to help him. When no one answered, Jiho just stood there looking lost. "He does not look like a predator," Kai whispered to himself. Through the ventilation grate, he could see Jiho's face clearly. The human looked tired and hungry, but not dangerous. His eyes were kind, and when he smiled while eating the crackers from the vending machine, he looked like any normal person who was happy to finally get some food. Kai had been listening to all the security reports on his radio. He heard the adults talking about apex predators and hunting behavior, but what he was seeing did not match their descriptions at all. Jiho sat down at one of the empty tables and put his head in his hands. He looked frustrated and lonely. "I just want some real food," he said to himself. "Why is this place so empty?" That was when Kai made a decision that would change everything. He quietly opened a ventilation grate and dropped down into the food court behind one of the stalls. His tools made a small noise when he landed, and Jiho looked up quickly. For a moment, both of them just stared at each other. Kai was a small, blue-skinned alien with large eyes and 4 arms. Jiho was a tall human with dark hair and tired eyes. Neither of them moved. "Hello," Jiho said carefully. "Are you okay? You look surprised." Kai was surprised, but not for the reason Jiho thought. He was surprised that the dangerous predator was asking if he was okay instead of trying to eat him. "You are the apex predator everyone is afraid of?" Kai asked. "Apex predator?" Jiho looked completely confused. "I am just a college student. My name is Jiho. I am traveling with my friend Dami." Kai studied Jiho's face. The human looked genuinely puzzled by the question. "Everyone thinks you and your friend are dangerous hunters who came here to attack the station." "Attack the station?" Jiho's eyes went wide with shock. "We just wanted to buy some food and find a place to sleep. We have been traveling for days in a tiny ship." Something clicked in Kai's mind. He reached into his tool bag and pulled out his lunch, a sandwich his mother had made for him that morning. Without thinking about safety protocols or predator warnings, he held it out to Jiho. "You look hungry," he said simply. Jiho stared at the sandwich like it was made of gold, his eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Are you sure? I do not want to take your food." "I am sure. My mother always makes me too much food anyway." Jiho accepted the sandwich with shaking hands. He took a bite and his whole face changed. After days of protein bars and vending machine crackers, the fresh sandwich tasted incredible. "This is amazing," he said with his mouth full. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me." Kai watched as the dangerous apex predator ate his sandwich with obvious joy and gratitude. There was nothing threatening about this behavior. Jiho looked like any person who had been given a gift when they needed it most. "Why does everyone think you are dangerous?" Kai asked. "I have no idea," Jiho answered between bites. "We sent messages asking for permission to dock. We followed all the proper procedures. Maybe our translator was not working correctly." Kai remembered something from his tool bag. He pulled out a small pillow that he sometimes used when he had to rest during long maintenance jobs. "Your friend looked tired. Maybe she would like this?" Jiho's face lit up with even more gratitude. She would love that. Dami has been working too hard for weeks. She really needs good sleep. Together they walked to where Dami was sleeping in the comfortable chair. She looked peaceful, but Kai could see the dark circles under her eyes that showed how exhausted she was. Jiho gently placed the pillow behind Dami's head. She stirred slightly and smiled in her sleep. "Thank you," she mumbled without opening her eyes. "This is much better." Kai watched this interaction with growing amazement. These were not predators planning an attack. They were just tired travelers, taking care of each other. He activated his communicator, knowing he was probably about to get in trouble with his supervisors. Security Center, this is maintenance worker Kai. I am in the food court with the visitors. Kai, get away from there. Immediately! Security Chief Yoon's voice crackled through the speaker. Those are dangerous predators! No, they are not, Kai said firmly. They are just hungry and tired. The male one said thank you for a sandwich. The female one is sleeping with a pillow I gave her. There was silence from the security center. Kai, report your status immediately. Captain Yeon's voice came through. I am fine, Captain. I am standing next to both visitors and they have not tried to hurt me at all. Actually, the male one asked if I was okay when he first saw me. In the security center, Dr. Minho was staring at his readings with confusion. The biological markers for both creatures have normalized completely. Stress levels are down to baseline. Heart rates are normal. Ambassador Hyun grabbed the communicator. Kai, can you ask them what they need? Kai looked at Jiho, who was listening to the conversation with interest. They want to know what you need, Kai explained. Just food and rest, Jiho answered honestly. We are on vacation, but our trip is taking longer than we planned. Our supplies ran out and we need to restock before continuing our journey. Did you hear that? Kai asked into his communicator. Dr. Su was writing notes frantically. They are on vacation. They are travelers, not hunters. But the readings, Dr. Minho protested weakly. The readings show beings who have been under stress from hunger and exhaustion, Ambassador Hyun said as understanding finally dawned on her. We interpreted normal biological functions as predator behavior. Captain Yeon's voice came through the communicator with embarrassment. Kai, are you certain they are not dangerous? Kai looked at Jiho, who was carefully saving half of the sandwich, for his friend to eat when she woke up. He looked at Dami, who was sleeping peacefully with a grateful smile on her face. Captain, these are the least dangerous people I have ever met. I think we made a big mistake. In the security center, aliens were slowly beginning to realize that they had just spent hours terrifying themselves over two harmless tourists who only wanted a meal and a nap. The greatest threat to Nexus Station had turned out to be a hungry college student and a tired office worker on their first vacation in years. The emergency lights stopped flashing throughout Nexus Station for the first time in hours. Captain Yeon sat in his command chair, feeling more embarrassed than he had ever felt in his entire career. Around him, his crew was quietly shutting down weapon systems and canceling evacuation protocols. So let me understand this correctly, he said slowly. We detected two ordinary travelers who were hungry and tired, and we mistook them for apex predators because we had never seen anything like humans before. Dr. Minho nodded shamefully. Their biology is unlike any species in our database. High energy requirements, complex stress responses, extreme adaptability. To our sensors, they looked like the most efficient killing machines in the galaxy, when actually, they were just college students on vacation, Ambassador Hyun added with a weak smile. Down in the food court, word was spreading quickly through the station's communication systems. The dangerous predators were actually friendly, visitors who needed help. Slowly, cautiously, other aliens began to emerge from their hiding places. Jiho looked up in surprise as the first alien approached their table. It was Chin, the Vorthak trader, whose crystal body was now glowing a warm orange color that meant friendship and curiosity. Greetings, travelers, Chin said carefully. I apologize for our unusual welcome. We were not sure what to expect. No problem at all, Jiho replied with genuine kindness. I know we probably seem strange to you. You seem pretty amazing to me, too. I have never seen anyone made of living crystal before. Chin's glow became brighter with pleasure. You find our biology interesting rather than frightening? Fascinating, Jiho said honestly. How do you eat? Do you need the same kind of nutrition? That I do? Within minutes, more aliens were gathering around their table. Dr. Su came down from the security center, her notebook ready to document this historic first contact. Security Chief Yoon arrived with her weapons put away, looking curious, instead of threatening. Dami woke up from her nap, stretching and yawning. She looked around at all the aliens surrounding their table and blinked in surprise. "Did I miss something?" she asked sleepily. "These are the people who live on this station," Jiho explained. "Everyone was hiding because they thought we were dangerous." "Dangerous?" Dami looked confused. "We are probably the least dangerous people in the galaxy. I work in accounting." Dr. Su leaned forward with interest. "What is accounting?" "I keep track of money and numbers for my company," Dami explained. "It is very boring work, but someone has to do it." The aliens exchanged glances. A predator species that had individuals who voluntarily spent their time organizing numerical data. This was unprecedented. "And what do you study?" Dr. Minho asked Jiho. "Literature and history," Jiho answered. "I want to be a teacher someday. I love learning about different cultures and sharing stories." Ambassador Hyun felt her heart's warm at these simple, peaceful ambitions. "You want to educate others and preserve cultural knowledge?" "Exactly," Jiho's face lit up. "That is why we are taking this trip. We wanted to see different worlds and learn about how people live throughout the galaxy." Captain Yeon approached their table, looking thoroughly ashamed. "On behalf of Nexus Station, I apologize for the fear and confusion we have caused. We should have tried harder to understand your communications." "Please do not worry about it," Dami said kindly. "We understand that first contact can be scary. We were nervous too." "You were nervous about meeting us?" Yoon asked with surprise. "Of course," Jiho laughed. "You all seem so advanced and sophisticated. Your station is incredible. We were worried you would think we were primitive or boring." Dr. Su was writing notes frantically. These humans showed empathy, humility, and genuine interest in other cultures. Their predatory stress responses had actually been social anxiety about making a good impression. Young Kai emerged from behind a food stall, carrying a tray loaded with different types of food from various vendors who were now eager to help the friendly visitors. "I asked everyone to contribute something," he explained. "We want to make up for the bad welcome." Jiho and Dami stared at the feast before them. There were foods of every color and texture, drinks that sparkled and steamed, and desserts that looked like small works of art. "This is too much," Jiho protested. "We cannot accept all of this." "Please," Chin insisted. "It would honor us if you would try our foods. We are curious to learn what humans consider delicious." What followed was the most interesting cultural exchange in Nexus Station's history. Jiho and Dami tasted foods from a dozen different worlds, describing the flavors and textures while the alien chefs took careful notes about human taste preferences. "This one tastes like flowers," Dami said, trying a purple soup from the Nimari vendor, "but in a good way. Very delicate." "And this is incredibly spicy," Jiho added, sampling a Quelon grain dish. "But I love spicy food. Do you have more like this?" The Quelon chef buzzed with excitement. "My species believed that humans would find our food too intense. Your appreciation is most gratifying." Dr. Minho was studying his readings with wonder. "Look at how their biology adapts to different foods in real time. Their digestive systems are incredibly flexible." "Is that unusual?" Dami asked. "Very unusual," Dr. Su explained. "Most species can only process a narrow range of nutrients safely. You seem able to eat almost anything organic." "I guess we never thought about it," Jiho said. "Humans have always been good at adapting to different environments and food sources." As the evening continued, the food court filled with more and more aliens who wanted to meet the first humans they had ever encountered. Stories were shared, languages were compared, and cultural differences were celebrated rather than feared. Ambassador Hyun arranged for Jiho and Dami to have proper guest quarters with comfortable beds and private facilities. The station's hospitality, suites, usually reserved for important diplomats, were offered freely to make up for the terrible first impression. "This is amazing," Dami said, as she looked around the luxurious room. The bed looks incredibly comfortable. And look at this view, Jiho added, standing by the large window that showed the stars streaming past as the station moved through space. This is better than any hotel we could have afforded. Before they went to rest, Captain Yeon made an official announcement throughout the station. Citizens of Nexus Station, today we have learned an important lesson about the dangers of making assumptions about unknown peoples. Our human visitors have shown us kindness, curiosity, and patience despite our fearful reaction to their arrival. They have reminded us that the galaxy is full of friends we have not met yet, not just threats we have not identified. Dr. Minho was already working on new protocols for first contact situations. We need to develop better ways to analyze unknown biology without jumping to predatory classifications, he explained to his team. And we need to train our people to consider peaceful explanations before assuming hostile intent, Ambassador Hyun added. 3 days later, when Jiho and Dami finally continued their vacation journey, half the station came to see them off. Their small ship was now fully supplied with food, water, and gifts from their new friends. Promise you will visit us again on your way home, Kai called out as they boarded their ship. We promise, Jiho called back. And next time, we will bring pictures from all the worlds we visit. And maybe some human food to share, Dami added. I think you would all enjoy Earth chocolate. As their ship departed, the aliens of Nexus Station watched with fondness rather than fear. The apex predator duo that had terrorized them for hours had become beloved friends who reminded everyone that the universe was full of wonderful surprises. Captain Yeon updated the station's official log with the day's events. His final entry read, First contact with human species successful. Initial classification as apex predators proved incorrect. Humans are peaceful, curious, and friendly beings whose only dangerous qualities are their ability to make friends quickly and their tendency to share their food with anyone who shows them kindness. And in the end, that was exactly the kind of danger the galaxy needed more of.